35 years ago, a thrash album was released, and I think Metalheads over 40 should listen to or maybe re-listen to it. It's an album, it was very political, but also addresses a few issues that are still relevant today. I'm talking about Sacred Reich's The American Way. I'm going to give you some background on the album, talk about the music, then delve deeper into some of the song lyrics, and talk about how they relate to today's society. The American Way is the second studio album by Sacred Reich. Was released on May 15, 1990 through Metal Blade Records. The album saw the band change their style, as the first album was more of a raw crossover thrash album. This one was more of that traditional thrash that was similar to bands like Flotsam and Jetsam or Forbidden, but they still had those crossover vibes. The album was produced by Bill Metoyer and the band Sacred Reich. Now, some people didn't like the album. There was more of a groove metal sound. They slowed it down on some of the songs. And there was also a song at the end that sounded like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, but I'll talk about that later. Despite this, I believe the album has held up better than any of their other albums. The album features intense drumming of Greg Hole, the angry vocals of Phil Rind. They also talk about lots of social issues like corruption, pollution, apartheid. There's also one song I want to talk about, but I will have to tread lightly as it deals with a very sensitive subject. It's a fairly short album. There are 8 songs. It's only about 30 minutes long. The album opens with Love Hate. It's a traditional thrash metal song, which is heavy yet melodic. It includes a breakdown with a slower pace and some bass guitar grooves. The American Way was more of a bouncy track and one of the more popular songs. I'll talk about the lyrics later on. The Way is a song with some cool double bass drumming, a catchy chorus, and some great hooks. Crimes Against Humanity had a different type of sound with some awesome tribal drum beats, tempo changes, and lots of bass guitar grooves. State of Emergency had another bouncy rhythm and some palm-muted guitar riffs with some cool bass guitar grooves and tempo changes. Who's to Blame is a thrash ballad with some deep lyrics that I will talk about later. I Don't Know is a thrash song with a fast and heavy rhythm and talks about parental advisory labels on music. Finally, there's a track, it's just one of those fun tracks. It's called 31 Flavors, and it sounds like a Red Hot Chili Pepper song. It's a complete departure from the rest of the songs on the album, but despite this, it's a fun track. It talks about how people should listen to different kinds of music. But now I want to dive deeper and talk about why this album is still relevant today. First song I want to talk about is The American Way. The song starts with the line, "Truth and honor, faith and pride, all convictions surely died." This part of the song paints a picture of society that's completely dishonest. Back then there was not internet, but today we have people posting about their lives on social media to make it look like they're living a life they really aren't. But this next line hits very hard. It says, "Talk to children, hear them say, Daddy left again today. Brother steals and mommy lies, future lost before their lives." This can be interpreted in different ways. I see it as a family where parents don't get along, the dad likes to disappear for days, or maybe they're divorced and the kids don't understand that their dad was given limited time with the kids. Then there's the line, "Mommy lies." That can be interpreted as if maybe the mother lied in family court to gain the upper hand in the custody battle. Whatever it means, it's still relevant today. Then we get to the main critique of the song. There's a line that says, "This was once the land of the dreams. Now these dreams have turned to greed. In the midst of all this wealth, the poor are left to help themselves." This line talks about how the American dream was starting to disappear. Keep in mind, the song came out in 1990. When I was younger, my father immigrated from Italy after World War II. He worked one job. He was able to buy a house, a car, support his family, and he saved money and he had lots of assets. Now, it's not that easy, and I think people started to see that sometime around the late 80s. That was when they had the line, "Lady Liberty rots away," because it was a symbol of the erosion of the American dream. So let me also quote George Carlin when he said, "That's why they call it the American dream, because you have to be asleep to believe it." Next, I want to talk about Crimes Against Humanity. This is a song that was about environmental destruction. It was very popular back in the late 80s, early 90s. So let's break it down. First line goes, "Toxins, pollutants, and poisonous gases, without notice, take their toll on the masses." This line addresses how air and water become contaminated and how it can lead to people becoming sick. Something that people don't really notice and has been going on for years. Another line that says, "Towering temples of modernization, megatropolis monument to civilization. This line addresses how cities are grown and more people concentrated in small areas. So if you look at the map of the United States, you will see more people living in New York and California than the other large portions of the rest of the country. So it implies that our progress is leading to our destruction. Probably the most powerful line in this one, it says, "What will it take to make us see these crimes against humanity?" It's the idea that people like to put their blinders on and to say everything is fine. We don't have to worry about pollution or the environment because it's just an effect of industrialization and modernization, and there's nothing we can do about it. Also hints at climate change, an issue that one side is for and the other side denies, so that's a whole other story. Next song I want to talk about is State of Emergency. It's a song about apartheid in South Africa, and there's also a news story going on right now that I'm going to address in a minute. This was something that was going on back in 1990 and supposedly has ended, but can be argued it's still going on today. It's done differently though. So we're going to break that all down. There's one line that goes, "Jailed and beaten, left to die, political prisoners of apartheid." This is in reference to what was going on in South Africa at the time and the mass incarcerations, which were something that still happens in the United States, but just disguised differently. Then there's a line, "How can we let this be in their country? They must be free when they will. Segregation end. When will the masses be free again?" This line is about injustice, addresses the idea of segregation. Now, today, segregation doesn't exist, or kind of does, as black people are disproportionately imprisoned in the United States. Many of them for nonviolent drug crimes and false allegations. Basically, the song talks about apartheid, which is something that was prevalent back in the day. Supposedly, it doesn't still exist, but has reared its head in different ways. Talks about the injustice of racial inequality, which in the song was about lack of rights for black South Africans under the apartheid regime. It's relevant today, as I just spoke about. We can see with the mass incarcerations in the United States with black people being disproportionately imprisoned. There's also a news story going around that can be related to the song. I try not to be political on this channel and take sides. I'm not like for one side or the other, so I'm not doing that. I'm just reporting on a story that I feel relates to this song, so I'm not being political. But allegedly, Donald Trump brought a group of white South Africans to the U.S. as refugees. People are wondering why they needed to escape. People are starting to talk about how white people are starting to be persecuted under a black government. It's supposedly affecting farmers, but then the South African government said it was completely false and that these people, who are called the Afrikaners, are descendants of Dutch and French colonial settlers and some of the richest people in the country. I'm not going to get into this deep. I don't really understand it as well, so if you understand it, please feel free to comment and explain it more. I'm just basically going off an article that I read online, and I thought it was similar to what was going on in the lyrics of the song I just spoke about. But with that being said, I'm going to talk about one more song, and I have to tread lightly. It's a sensitive subject. The name of the song is Who's to Blame? It's a thrash metal ballad. The first line of the song is as follows. "Johnny, can you hear me? Turn the music down. You're making too much noise. I mean, do it now." So at first, the song paints a picture of a kid who likes to listen to metal music. So far, everything seems normal. It's the 80s. We all did it as teenagers. Now here's the next line. "All that stuff is evil. Ozzy Judas Priest. There's backwards messages on the stuff that lead you to the beast." So this makes us believe that the parents are very religious and criticizing metal music. Maybe they saw many news stories about the satanic panic or listened to Tipper Gore. But the first thing you notice is that the parents are criticizing something the kid likes. So that is the first red flag. Now for the next line. "Johnny, can you hear me? Open up that door. I've been calling you for hours. I won't say it anymore." This means that either the kid is ignoring the parents or that something is happening. But the next line tells us something about the parents. It goes as follows. "Just wait till your dad gets home and sees what you have done. Kicked out of school, you've got no job, you useless, delinquent bum." Here we see the parent, who we assume is the mother, is not only criticizing the kid, but outright insulting him. Now for the next line, this is where the song takes a big turn. It goes as follows. "Oh my God, it's Johnny hanging by his neck. All those metal albums have led him to his death." So it's obvious what happened. I won't say it, but the thing is, the mother is blaming it on metal music. She's completely ignoring what's going on with the son, Maybe he was being bullied, maybe he's depressed, maybe he felt he couldn't express himself, or he had to fit a certain image in order to be loved. Maybe the mother made her love conditional. But what does she do? She just blames metal music. Here's the next line. Now it's time for parents to open ears and listen. Maybe it's too late to see what you've been missing. Music is no cause of death. It's you that suffocates. If you have opened your eyes and ears, you'd see who's to blame. So the song is calling at the parent who don't pay attention to what the kids are going through and want to blame heavy metal as it's something they don't understand. In other words, a complete lack of accountability. Now, how does this tie into the main purpose or the title of this video of why metalheads over 40 should listen to this album? It's because most of the people who watch my channel are over 40 as per my analytics. So I assume that most of you have kids, many of you have teenagers. Now, if we hear our kids playing metal music in their rooms, we're probably going to go in and give them a high five. But our kids may or may not be doing that. But they're probably doing things that we don't understand. For example, I have two preteens. They play games like Fortnite or Roblox. I don't understand them, but I don't criticize them for it. Maybe my daughter listens to some music I like, but she also listens to things like Grimes, who I have no idea who that is. But again, not going to criticize. So that's the message I want to get out. Your kids are going to be experiencing things you don't know about, so talk to them, see what's going on. That's all I want to talk about. Usually around this time I direct you to another related video I did, but this is the first time I ever did a video on Sacred Reich. Let me direct you to a video I did on a thrash band called Forbidden. I did a ranking of that video, so that's going to be right there. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Please like this video. Helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Please subscribe and all that good stuff. I do rock and metal reviews, rankings, and more, and I will see you in the next one.